Hi guys, just 1 second. We're having technical difficulties.
Yeah,
I can't even say difficulties. Hold on. Still trying to figure this out. Am I live?
Yes.
Because I can't hear anything. So we're going to try a couple things here. How about that? Nope. Hey, Courtney, can you say something?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
I can hear it now. Much better. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys for bearing with us. This is new. Today is the first day that I'm utilizing this microphone. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I'm going to do my best. So let me get back to where I needed to be. Good afternoon, local warriors. I'm Dana Zulik, and this is Local Wars. Today we have a guest, and as much as I would love her beautiful, shining face to be on the screen, she's choosing to just do audio today. So,
hi, everybody. I'm Courtney. Happy to be with you.
So Courtney is a very special person that came into my life. She is also a combat veteran, but she's Air Force. I'm Army. We all love each other, nothing but love. Although we do like to tease each other, but that just goes with the territory, right, Courtney?
Definitely.
Courtney's like, I'm kind of a shy person. And if anybody is watching us today live, you can enjoy our kittens playing right behind us because, well, we have to start somewhere and I'm in my house. So until I get a professional studio, this is what we're working with. Also, Courtney, look at my new microphone.
I know, it's awesome. It's beautiful.
Isn't it so me?
I like the colors.
Like I should just do like normal black professional looking one. And I'm like, that's boring.
I like the colors.
It's like gradient. It's like, and look, you can change it. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's not impressed. Okay, so with all transparency, I tried to do this live last night. I had every intention of doing this live last night, and I got into it. And I had what we were talking about this today. I say physical response. Courtney says
physiological response.
Oh, okay.
On top of atomic.
Got it. So that's what I had. Well, I'm going to share a bunch of information with you guys. And this is the stuff that I was looking over that I was going to go into last night. But I needed a battle here with me. So I invited Courtney, and I'm so excited that she said yes to kind of go through it. And maybe because Courtney's an outsider, perhaps maybe she can ask some questions you yourselves might have, just not kind of knowing all the different pieces. So we're going to get through this, right? It's called an intro. You got to build rapport with your audience. Okay, Courtney? Okay, so today what we're going to be talking about is the basically Richfield colluded with a developer to try to trick me into accepting contaminated waste. It's disgusting. I'm outraged. I have a healthy amount of anger in my soul, to share it on YouTube. And this platform has given me such an outlet. And last night, it was just really hard to go through alone. So let's get into it.
But Dana, how did you know that they did this like purposely to get you caught up in it?
Oh, well, tonight I brought receipts. That is a good question, I suppose, right? I didn't know at first. It actually took a lot of open records requests and kind of putting things together because I didn't want to believe that there was this coordinated effort to shut down my business. And I certainly didn't want to believe that after winning in court, had gone all the way up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court and being told that we could move forward and operate the business, like this crazy shenanigan that happened after all of that. So here I'm still living in this world of like, I'm excited. I can actually start my business. I just overcame this huge hurdle in court. And so I guess it's important to kind of give you the backstory so the viewers can get a vibe of kind of when this was. So this was in 2018. And we had already won at the Court of Appeals. And I believe, I'll have to check the date, but I'm pretty sure this is when the Village of Richfield was taking us to the Court of Appeals again for the second time, where they wanted, like the courts had said, you're not allowed to regulate. It's a statewide concern. No local approvals apply. And then Richfield's like, oh, but did you actually mean we can still do the culvert and road, like the driveway and the culvert and sign. And they're like, in the middle of trying to take us to the Court of Appeals again over those three issues. And, well, spoiler alert, the Court of Appeals said, no, we meant all local approvals. But it cost me $20,000, so there's that.
Quickly tell them about how they put up signs on the road to steer drivers away from dumping here.
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that started happening when we opened up is we were being told that there's no trucking signs. Now, I don't keep a personal memory log of where every single no dump truck sign is, but it basically means, this is not a trucking route, like not to use those roads. And people with CDLs, they're professionals. They take their jobs very seriously and they don't want to break the law. So it took us like all of a sudden it just seemed like there were like more of these no trucking signs. And that really affects business because I believe there should be a sign next to it. And I'd be happy to pay for them too. That just says, except for scenic pit traffic, because, that's just one of many things, by the way. What?
Because it's not regulated.
Well, you're allowed to chime in.
I know, but I'm just trying to guide you along.
Oh, because the road isn't regulated, right? By the local government. In regards to my site. So trucks are allowed to travel on the roads to come to Scenic Pit. And it was just a huge issue. We even had a contractor call us and say that the Village of Richfield told them they weren't allowed to use the road because it wasn't a haul road. And it turned into this whole big ordeal where I had to go into the village hall, talk to Jim Healy, or maybe I reported it that gosh, guys, there's so many things that have happened. It's just crazy. But either way, I ended up with an actual memorandum written by Jim Healy, the village administrator, saying that they're not allowed because, he got his hand slapped. The sheriff's department was like, no, you can't do that. That's interfering with her business. She's allowed to have trucks come to her business. And so he had to actually do this, hang his head in shame and write this letter that said they're allowed to. So yeah.
But the signs are still out there and our business is suffering because of these signs, because the trucks don't know they can still use the roads to access the scenic pit.
Right.
It's an ongoing issue.
It is an ongoing issue. I can hear some feedback in my headphones. I hope it doesn't travel. You don't hear feedback on your end, right?
It's an echo.
It is an echo? Maybe it's just on our headphones then, hopefully, for all the viewers. So basically, we won the case. We're able to open business. And the plan for me was always to, work with my ex-husband because we had started this together. So, I obviously didn't have the valuable resources that, of his mind anymore. Because we were going through a divorce at this time, and I'm not sharing personal details about divorce, guys. I just so you know, in case you start feeling cringe, I'm not going. That doesn't belong on YouTube. I'm just basically acknowledging that my expertise level in the construction industry is a different caliber than his. I did drive dump trucks and worked in borrow pits when I was in the Army. So it's not like I'm totally unfamiliar. I just have never had to be the business owner before. And, with the vehicle maintenance and so anyways, here we get this go ahead, this green light. I don't really have anybody to like guide me and kind of hold my hand through the process. And so I was taking what knowledge I had done on my own research and trying to put together everything. So we had a few customers. It wasn't anything substantial. There wasn't like a bunch of money coming in or anything. And along comes this phone call. Are you ready for this, Courtney? I know you're so excited. So a phone call comes through, and I won't name the company, but it was somebody who works with my ex-husband's company. And he said, hey, I was talking to so-and-so over at your ex-husband's company. Well, he didn't say it like that, but that's my YouTube version. So, and he said, you're going to have to find customers and stuff. And there's this guy that is in the industry, and he's kind of a weirdo, but whatever. You should give him a call. He can hook you up with jobs, I bet, because he's always trying to find places to dump dirt, and maybe he can help you get some more jobs rolling in. I said, cool. So he gives me his number. I give this guy a call, and no joke, guys, it's the dirt doctor. No, and when I talk about this dirt doctor, he looks like he just walked out of like a cheesy, I can't even think of what type of movie, like almost like a Dick Tracy. Like he sort of looks like the villain in any like Dick Tracy movie,
You're killing me.
Like I'm expecting zoot suits and like, like chains and like, anyway, this gentleman is a character, and he calls himself the dirt doctor, and he literally is a broker of dirt. So, he's trying to get both sides of the fence to pay him. So he's telling property owners, I'll find you dirt. And he's telling the people trying to get rid of the dirt, I'll find a place for your dirt. And he's making money on both ends. So I did a little background check on him. I did learn, like, this guy's got a rap sheet. He spent some serious prison time. But, well, he was a felon too. This sounds really bad, Dana. But anyways, are you in this, Courtney?
Yes, I am. I was actually looking at our chats, and your mother said no feedback or echoes, which is awesome.
Oh, that's great. Okay, perfect. So this dude who's a felon, he's a con artist, zoo suits, chains, and dirt doctor of dirt, comes into the picture. And I basically talked to my accountant, and I'm like, hey, like, do you think we should do business with this guy? Like, I don't really want to be associated with someone that's like a con artist. And he's like, well, I don't see the problem with it if he's just finding people, let's just not, exchange money or whatever. Like, so we came up with an idea of like, maybe there could be like a commission, like a finder's fee, right? And since we were just starting the business and we're trying to generate sales, that was kind of the deal with anyone. Like, there were checks and balances in place. So it wasn't like I was like handing this guy the what did Moses use to part the sea? Anyways, I wasn't handing him that. I wasn't like, "Hey, I want you, this dirt doctor, to I'm going to trust you to run my business." No, that was not happening. It was just simply a guy that was in the industry, as the person that knows him quite well told me. And this dude is a really good dude. He's like, "Dana, he's kind of a necessary evil, if you know what I mean." Just because he's got all these connections and stuff like that. So, just kind of set a boundary, but, you know, don't let him have access to too many important things. Okay. So that's the dirt doctor. And he's everything that you're probably picturing in your mind. He's like smooth and, you know. So, oh, this story, man. So he finds a dozer operator, and he knows a person that owns a dozer. So these two individuals come to the property. They kind of explain to me things. And the owner of the dozer was fantastic. So he's not really even a part of this equation. He and I are on excellent terms. It took both of us a long time to each figure out what was happening. I found out a little bit sooner, so it took time to repair the relationship with him. But I'm going to leave the dozer owner out of it. But the operator started doing some shady things, and I'm not even holding him to accountable either. But I mean, he was like he cut down this portion that we weren't even going to work, and like legit, Courtney, I tried to get my lawnmower out of the sheds, and he had cut, like, you know where the sheds are? 8 feet. Like it was a ledge, 8 feet. Like an eight. Like, how am I supposed to get my lawnmower out of the shed?
Right, and it's been a lot of work in the last year of getting stuff built back up and making it pretty again. Yes, it definitely uh, required a lot of work after that happened.
Yeah. But that was a long time ago, and yeah, I know what you're saying though. It's always, we're trying to move forward now. Um, so some weird things started happening like that, and then all of a sudden, the dirt doctor tells me, "Hey, I've got this private investor that I've been working with, but he does not want me to tell you what his name is." I said, "Well, I mean, if you're telling me you're finding me jobs, cool. I don't really know what he would invest in." Um, it was just weird. The whole thing was a little shady. So I'm trying to keep that boundary still, and like, hey, you know, is there, he's, calling me, there's this job coming up, this job coming up. So he finds a job, and he's like, it's coming out of Milwaukee. I said, cool, I need the address. And I looked up on the DNR's website. It's a site called Burt's. And I had seen that in phase one, that fill was required to go to like a landfill or something like that. And in phase two, it was just normal clean fill. Plus, when the fill came to the site, we inspected it and it was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. So I did my checks and balances, right? And also I knew that everything was heightened at this time. A lot of people in the community, oh, well, she's not actually being regulated. Nobody's actually keeping their eyes on her, and she's going to do all these terrible, horrible things. And so I was making sure that I was being respectful of that and keeping my records. So this job comes in. I'm kind of just like not thinking much about it. And then I hear, I think my ex-husband told me there's a rumor in the industry that you took some dirty loads. Like, no. But like, where would that come from? Well, I just heard about it and this and that. And I'm like, okay. Then what happened next? Oh, so there was that, and then I started getting questions from the DNR. And then I don't remember at what point it was. I think I was struggling when we talked about this earlier because Courtney and I kind of went through this a little bit. I'm not sure exactly when it was that it all came together for me, but it had to be when the memorandum came out, because not long after I took this job, Jim Healy sends a memorandum, a 4-page memorandum to the DNR. Now, keep in mind, I'm starting to get my business going. My focus is totally on, like, we just spent 3 years in litigation. I'm finally able to operate my business that I should have been able to operate for the past 3 years, and had already lost how much in jobs, and it was just, the whole thing was crazy. So I'm just trying to move forward, you know, kind of like let bygones be bygones. Well, that's not what Richfield had in mind. So, and Courtney is still with me, but she's going to be taking breaks, so she'll come pop in and out. Let's see. We'll start with this right here. Oh, that's not the one I want. I forgot to add my slides. Here we go. I don't know if I can make this even bigger. Okay. All right. So this is a Village of Richfield memo. It's dated May 17th of 2018. It's to basically some pretty higher, well, the highest up representatives at the Wisconsin DNR. It's from Jim Healy, and it's in regards to a complaint regarding Scenic Pit LLC. Background: for the last several years, the Village of Richfield, with its population of 11,500, in southern Washington County, has been working in concert with the DNR regarding the property ironically named the Scenic Pit. So first of all, this is a memorandum, and he's already got to put his opinion. I mean, he's allowed to have an opinion, but I'm not so sure that it's appropriate. I mean, I guess it helps me because it's pretty easy to show the malice here, but I mean, the snark, it just never ends. This long restored property. Now, I'm going to be spending a little bit of time on, we're going to stop the buck right there and circle back to the intro. But I want to take the next, I don't know how long it'll take, hopefully no more than 10 or 15 minutes. But I want to show you how even something as simple as one little comment, this long restored property, it's one little piece, right? But it's in the beginning of the memo. And it's already setting the tone that this property is restored. Like, why is she doing this with this long restored property? And I'm going to show you why. Oh, I always forget to put the comments up. Oh, no cat. Gosh darn it. Sorry about that. So I'm going to go through each one of, I forgot what I was saying now because the cat came and knocked my ring light that is not appropriately secured right now. Courtney's probably, she's like, oh gosh, she's on her break right now. Like, oh my God. Okay. So I don't even know what's going on. What did I just put on there? Am I getting, is this like my first, like I don't even know what that was. Okay, I see now. Okay, now I know how to use that feature. Okay, so I'm going to show you how something that seems so small is still the basis of a lie. Jim Healy is okay with lying to the community. And I'm going to show you how this is a lie. The long restored property located in the heart of our community. Okay. Wait for it, guys. It's worth it. Just a little patience. Here it is. Dum da da dum. So here's an article from the Times Press, Sunday, March 2nd of 2014. Now, this was just 1 year before the scenic pit.
It's not showing up on YouTube.
Well, you must have a big delay because that's from a long time ago. You're not live. You have to be live. I don't know how to get your cursor to work. You're not, you have to be live.
Okay, I don't know what happened on that, but we'll fix it.
Okay. So one refund could tax all. An assessor's error could end up costing Richfield taxpayers. Village trustees unanimously agreed to refund $2,200. I believe that says 44 worth of taxes unlawfully collected from residents in the 600 block of Scenic Drive. It's actually Scenic Road, which resulted from a property assessor's mistake at their February 20th meeting. And guys, I know this is so boring. It's so geeky and boring. But she can come in, that's fine. Oh, but you're eating. Okay, this is a lot of chaos. Okay. This is why I do them at night, probably. But here we are. Okay, so this sounds really super boring, but basically the pit here was assessed improperly back in, well, this article was written 2014, so I'm assuming it's from the 2013 taxes. So it says, Village Attorney John Macy said there's never a guarantee the Department of Revenue will approve the chargeback. You just might have to tax for it next year. In essence, if the Department of Revenue refuses to pay, the village will have to recover the money it paid out by taxing all of the village residents. It's spread over the entire taxing entity, Macy said, and the village should be prepared to hear a no. More and more, they've been saying no. Okay, so it doesn't even say in this article exactly what the issue was. That's okay. Don't you fret. Don't you fret. Our friend Jeff Gagno keeps records, guys. He's like our own little village hall, but in the town of Polk. He's like the little village hall that was never supposed to be a village hall. But anyways. So here is an agenda packet from February 20th of 2014. We're going to scroll down to the most important part. Here we go. I'm going to keep previous owners out of it. But right here, you guys. Subject, recovery of unlawful tax, submitted by Jim Healy. Okay. The error in question was a misclassification of approximately 28.42 acres of land as a productive forest, when in fact, it is an abandoned quarry. This is a year before our case. Jim Healy himself says in a memorandum, when in fact, it is an abandoned quarry. Like, so wait a minute. We have this over here. Now I don't even know how to like. Right here, it's a long restored property. So here, you saw it here first on Local Wars. When I say that the Village of Richfield is lying to the community, it doesn't come from hate. It doesn't come from a vendetta. It doesn't come from me being spiteful.
or your opinion?
It's coming from the facts of the case. They're facts. The fact is, Jim Healy said in 2014 that it is an abandoned quarry. And the fact is that in this memorandum 2018, which is not the first time he lied, by the way, he also lied when he was deposed. He got caught lying during that deposition. But that portion of the case never was litigated or adjudicated because, well, we won on the summary judgment in the law. So everything else became moot. If Richfield's not able to regulate it, they're not allowed to do it. It was as simple as that, guys. And when I sound like this, I'm talking to Richfield. It literally was as simple as that. But instead, you got to gaslight the community and throw in your snarky little comments about ironically name the scenic pit, and then go on to a government agency, misrepresent the fact that it is long restored property. That is a misrepresentation, sir. Jim Healy. A misrepresentation. You and I both know, I believe there's an email out there where you say, I have intimate knowledge of this property. Well, do you have intimate knowledge of it? Why would you have intimate knowledge of it if it was restored? Why were none of the developers that have come through Village Hall able to redevelop it? Why has the village chased away countless developers? If I had $5 for every contractor in this area that said, man, I wanted to buy that, I was going to buy it, I probably wouldn't even need to fill the pit. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. Instead of filling the pit, I should just start collecting $5 from everyone that wanted to buy it at one point. But I digress. I just wanted to show you guys that this is an abandoned quarry. It has never been long-standing restored. It's smoke and mirrors. So let's get back to the time that the Village of Richfield colluded with a developer to get me to accept contaminated fill, which, by the way, can I just say that if they were successful, doesn't it defeat the entire purpose of what they set out to do in the first place? They're telling everybody that I'm here to take dirty loads and contaminate the groundwater, yet they're working with the local developer to try to get me to take contaminated loads. Well, what did they think these contaminated loads were going to do to the groundwater, Richfield? What? You've got to be kidding me. This is criminal. And this is the stuff that the district attorney, Mark Benson, refuses to look at. This is the stuff that the sheriff's department refuses to look at. Every time you see me get an animal ticket or something like that makes the news, or I have a hearing, these are the documents that I tried to show these people. So instead, I'm just going to share them with the community. I'm going to share them on YouTube, on my channel, where I get to verbally process and all of my weirdness with you, my fellow local warriors. And I'm happy to be here. And I can't tell you how great it's been. And I hope if we can help even one person going through something like this, then it was all worth it. And I know that's cliche and I know that's cheesy, but it's the damn truth.
Well, Dana, we'll get through everything and process it, and then we will be able to start going past the trauma that you're dealing with every day, trying to be this scenic pit, owner. And we're going to make it so amazing that it's going to be a attraction for people when they drive by. But it's a work in progress. And then by going through all of this and winning, succeeding, you're going to be able to help people on this channel as you grow and develop it even more. And one of those days here in the who knows when future, I'll actually show my face on the channel. But for now, I'm just going to stay back here and kind of watch and learn. I've never done this before either, so don't
We have a
mind
dog
me.
approach. We're having a lot of afternoon chaos. So there's anybody there with families out there, I'm sure you can identify having a family is, well, families be family.
And pets be petting.
So when we get the actual studio, it's going to be so sweet. I can't wait to see Courtney helping with that because like she is the project maker. Like I come up with these ideas and she's like, that's going to happen.
Okay, let's go. Step one. And Dana's like, oh, and then I want this here and I want that. Dana, we got to do step one first. Then we can move on and start making all of it happen. But we always got to start at the ground level, ground zero, which is where we're at right now on this YouTube channel. I think she's a little further past ground zero, maybe, you know, second, third floor. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe
this is
like
ground zero for
0.5,
me.
maybe 1.5.
But we're building, we're getting there. The pit's going to build. We'll get there. We'll be able to start helping more people, especially as Dana processes all this. She's learning so much more about it, and it's helping her, and she's going to grow. We're all going to grow. It's going to be amazing.
Just being able to have the strength and the courage, because for so many years now, there's been so many people that are willing to just beat me down and beat me down. And the last thing I want to think of myself as is a victim. I'm not one to default to poor me, right? It's not really in my genes, but or my fiber, I don't know what you want to call it, but what I will say is that I'm determined. I'm passionate, and the part that bothers me the most is if this can happen to me, it could happen to any one of you guys. It could happen to Courtney. Like, think of the people in your life that you love the most. And would you want them going through something like this? Let's talk about what it really is, Richfield. And I am going to go on a little soapbox right now because let's talk about what this really is. This wasn't what you fed the community. What you fed the community was a whole bunch of fear mongering, a whole bunch of bad, demonizing things about my intentions with the scenic pit. My story hasn't changed. Your story keeps changing. Because when one tactic doesn't work, you start with another tactic. And when that tactic doesn't work, you're on to another tactic. These are the records that I was able to obtain that you clearly felt comfortable enough to give me. I mean, most of the damning ones I got from the DNR. I think, Jim Healy, you even said at a board meeting once that you give even more records than John Macy, the village attorney, thinks you should. Does that make you a hero? You give more than the attorney thinks you should? Well, that's wrong on so many levels. For one, what else aren't you giving me? And why is the village attorney thinking you give me too much? These are the leaders of our communities at our local government. Like, if somebody comes in for an open record, guess what? If you're doing something you don't want them to see, maybe don't do it. If you're having to go through and screen and send emails and open records requests to your village attorney because your behaviors are so questionable that you need the attorney to check them out before you release records, that's not what the what is it called? The sunrise? The sun what's the name of the open meetings, open records? I don't know, they always call it a certain type of law. I'm a law nerd. I love to listen to my lawyer YouTube channels. So I'm sure I'll be listening to them one day and they'll say it. And I'm like, yeah, that one, sunrise or whatever they call it. But it basically means that we as the people, those are our records. Those are our records. They're not Jim Healy's records. They're not John Macy's records. They're ours, the people. So that was my soapbox for that one. But what this really was from the beginning was just me wanting to start a business that would help people get a property that generates income. The property was designated by the Village of Richfield and voted on by the board by comments submitted in a public hearing setting from local residents when you guys did the 10-year comprehensive plan update. You, the community, Jim Healy and the board, chose to designate it as quarry redevelopment. That's not long restored quarry. That's not long restored quarry. That's quarry redevelopment. And I believe the language you used, Jim, was there's an opportunity with the abandoned mines along Scenic and Willow Creek for them to be redeveloped into a viable use. What is it? Word vomit? Did you think you just, I mean, obviously your education told you that these properties need to be redeveloped. That's what your education taught you. You were proud of it. You bragged about it. People did articles on you. But now you're going to sell out because the former mayor of Delafield, Paul Craig, has his undies in a bundy because I am taking away his private playground and his neighbors. It's not yours, Paul Craig. It's not. So he's willing to put his own integrity on the line. And now miraculously, the pit has been long restored through no other action than some hocus pocus, right? Something magic. I mean, it defies common sense and it's wrong. And quite frankly, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because as an official, people trust you. And sir, I think that you should take that serious. I think it's your job and your duty to ethically serve the people. And if the truth is wrong, I mean, it's the truth. You don't get to just lie, sir. Okay. This is hard to go through, guys. Okay, for the last several years, the Village of Richfield, we went through that. As a result of these, where did I leave off, Courtney?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh, here we go. From the start, the village's primary concern has been and continues to be for our community's groundwater. Well, apparently not. When you find out how they were colluding with the developer to get me to take dirty loads. For the last 15 years, the village has been the municipal leader in the state of Wisconsin for groundwater, for conservation and groundwater monitoring. This is not a manufactured issue for us. In fact, in 2007, when the Village of Richfield sought incorporation to go from a town to a village, the production of this vital resource was a large part of our petition to the state of Wisconsin, and ultimately they agreed with our position. They did not. That is a lie. To this day, the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources wants the Village of Richfield to repeal its groundwater monitoring ordinance because it is a statewide concern. Have we heard this before? Yeah. Statewide concern. That means the DNR regulates at Richfield. But what I was told by one of the legal representatives at the Department of Justice, well, actually at the DNR, through the Department of Justice, I don't know, they are all somehow connected. They just don't have the resources, nothing to see here. While people in the community and new developers are being basically charged these fees and having to bond surrounding wells because of this groundwater monitoring ordinance. Like Richfield is, and by the way, guys, when it says groundwater monitoring, I'm not against groundwater monitoring. Sure, let's do it. Cool. Whatever. Right? But like if the DNR says you're not supposed to, like then maybe you shouldn't. And then if you're going to monitor the groundwater, be honest with the community and call it the groundwater level monitoring program, because You're not monitoring the groundwater for contamination. You're not looking at the quality of it. You're just looking at how much there is. So why don't we call it the groundwater level monitoring program? That would be far more accurate and more transparent. At the time of incorporation, we were the first municipality in the state of Wisconsin to become a village that didn't have a municipal water system. We believe this was due in part because of the uniqueness of the village's aqua hydrology. 80% of the village's private water supply comes from surface water recharging our shallow aquifer. Cool. Why are they getting into this with the scenic pit? Now, keep in mind, this was litigated. The court said, Richfield, none of your business. You're not allowed to monitor. You're not allowed to supervise. You're not allowed to be the hall monitor pass guy, like you're not a hall, like maybe Jim Healy was the hall monitor. I don't want to get petty. I'm just saying he's throwing off some hall monitor vibes, just a little bit. But this is what they're doing. They're linking it to this because now they've lost. I can start my business, and so now these are their like pleas and well lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Courtney's so excited that I'm singing. Okay. At the time of our incorporation, okay, we said that. We believe this was due in part because of the uniqueness. Oh, I read that.
You read all of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Groundwater. As a result of those scientific efforts monitoring our groundwater and from working with respected environmental advocates like attorney Don Gallo and GZA Geo Environmental Inc., the village has sound empirical evidence from over a decade ago that not only is this geographic location a key recharge area for the southern region of our community and the extended region outside our borders, the shallow aquifer, which provides groundwater to the entire community through a system of private wells, is no more than 20 feet below the surface at the subject property. Our understanding is that these water studies have already been provided to you by our community or consultants at Michael Best Strategies. If this is not the case, please let us know and we will forward them accordingly. All right. I don't know about you, but I kind of saw like they're spending more money. Like there's another attorney, there's another environmental group, there's like, but here's the interesting part. Jim, you're admitting that the aquifer is 20 foot below the surface of the subject property. Do you know why that is? It's a hole in the ground. It's not what the original elevation was. The DNR requires these sites to be that are mined after 2001. In 2001, the state of Wisconsin passed a law, NR 135. It's non-metallic mine reclamation. If even one load of gravel had left this site, and arguably I think it did, Courtney. Do you want to know why? You gotta
Tell me why. Tell me why.
Damn. There it went. What did I just ask you?
About the gravel leaving the pit?
Oh, well, the subdivisions, when they went up, if you drive through them, they're like landscaped with the pit rocks. So I think there could be an argument made that it was mined after 2001. I mean, there was a lot of rocks coming out of here, guys. Lots of landscaping. I'm nerdy. Sorry. Okay. The reason that it's required is because when you have a shallow aquifer and it's close to the groundwater like that, the excavation, it doesn't have any filtration anymore. The recharge is such a lame excuse. An interesting thing is I had a talk, I'm very good friends with the previous owners, and we were talking about this issue, about the recharge, and because this had come up. And he told me, he said, when those subdivisions went in, we actually had to drill another 100 feet to access water because the subdivisions drew the water down. So I just think it's a little ironic now that, you fast forward and it's like, wait, now they're worried that it's like maybe they're going to have to drill deeper now. I don't know. I mean, the Holtzes didn't complain when they had to do it, the previous owners. But anyways, the thing that should have been said was thank you. One of the men who wrote NR 135 non-metallic mining and reclamation, he actually told me he'd never heard of that in his life. Everybody who's ever wanted to restore a quarry by taking clean fill, the community usually says thank you because they don't want these abandoned quarries in their communities. They're attractive nuisances. They attract all kinds of shenanigans, but that's for another day.
They want it filled in. They just don't want you filling it in, Dana.
I wish I knew what they wanted. Now they've taken the position it's perfect the way it is. That's their new position, and they're sticking to it. Yes, they are. What did I do? Oh, I see now. Okay, hold on. It's probably hard for viewers to read. Let me do that. Okay. I forgot which one I was using. Oh, this one. My bad. Sorry about that, guys. Succinctly stated, whatever ends up going into the scenic pit is going to migrate into our water system and may have an irreparable and irreversible negative impact on our groundwater. Especially since the first job I ever took was sent by people trying to trick me into taking dirt. So basically you didn't want to trick me when it was already a little bit not towards the ground. Like, tell me your logic, please, sir. Did you think that nobody would ever figure out? Did you think that did you think that, maybe because you're the chief of police, you thought that this was like an undercover operation? Like they're your informants. Like you have an informant that's a developer. And you're going to catch me taking the dirt that he arranged to have come here. What? Get out of here with it. Is this like some John Grisham novel? Like I really it's absolutely ridiculous. And guys, if you're wondering why it took me this long to come forward and talk about it, well, let me tell you what it does to your mental health when you've got people that are literally doing this kind of crap to you. And it's my local government. It's your local government. It's our local government. All of this time, having a complete lack of understanding, spending your tax dollars to go after a person who simply just wanted to fill in a pit and open up an equine therapy center for combat vets. This is why I talk about what support actually looks like. What does supporting a veteran actually look like? I'm an open book. I'm comfortable about sharing my mental health issues with people. I have PTSD from being in war. I struggle. Sometimes my body has physical sensation reactions to things that other people don't understand why. And I've had to learn that that's okay, and it's okay to talk about. Because if people don't understand what it actually looks like to help anybody who struggles, what it looks like, Richfield, is perhaps following the law and looking for a way to bring the community together, not to completely try to destroy my life. What was your plan with this? You know damn well what your plan was. It was to run me out of town. stop my business, get me in trouble.
And then let somebody else take over the pit and do exactly what you're doing.
Well, right. There's really nothing else to do with it. It needs to be restored.
Right. They just don't want you restoring it.
Right. So then they go on to the amount of fill. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. I'm not in a nuisance-free and aesthetic manner. Here. So now Jim Healy's trying to relitigate this to the DNR. He says, what's even more concerning is the Court of Appeals have held that all local regulations and approvals do not apply to construction spoil, clean fill sites. I wasn't going into the detail. Oh, I won't go into the detail of the judge's opinion because I am aware that it has been studied and analyzed by your legal team, and for good reason too. It places the DNR and the court system squarely in the middle of determining what I need to make this bigger so I can read it. Oh, what constitutes operating in a nuisance-free and aesthetic manner. Based on the number of calls and complaints that I have received over the course of the last few months, the Village of Richfield does not believe that Scenic Pit can meet the requirement of operating the facility in a nuisance-free and aesthetic manner. Guys, I had been open for 3 months. 3 months. I had taken my first decent-sized job. It wasn't even that big of a job. 3 months. And he's already predetermined that I will not meet the standards. And you know what? You'll find out they're going to make sure I don't meet the standards. If it's the last thing they do. In my opinion, that's what it looks like. Okay, I got to find where I put this. Oh, next slide. I don't want to get into all those little I could go on all day. We'll be here all day if we get into every little thing. Okay, this is the job they tried to get me to take. So we got to go back one. I got to move Courtney over somehow. On multiple occasions, and as recently as May 10th, dump trucks were followed to and from the city of Milwaukee by area residents. What? Like when he's writing this, does he realize how not normal that is? I'm going back to the Dick Tracy thing.
Yeah.
Nancy Drew. So, guys, we're gonna get her, and that Dana Zulik. She's terrible trying to help veterans and start a business.
Those poor truckers that were being followed.
Creepy, right?
I know.
And then I think about that sometimes because they're like, the pit sucks, the trucks are loud. I'm like, well, those are two separate issues. Like the truck driving anywhere that's too loud, I suppose you could just call the trucks company and complain. Like, hi. Anyway. Okay. This episode is going to kill me because it's taking me so long to figure out my buttons. The residents have agreed and would submit affidavits that they personally witnessed trucks going to and from the future site of City Place Apartments in the city of Milwaukee. This is a 51-unit apartment building, is listed on the DNR Environmental Cleanup and Brownfields Redevelopment, which is BERT's website, and is categorized as a historic fill site. So then they go on to talk about, okay, So they set me up by basically finding me a job. So, like, I wanna know how that all happened. Like, did somebody, like, drive around and say, "Oh, look, that's under construction. Maybe," like, how did how did the dirt doctor know to send me this job? Is it truly these are all the questions that I feel so gaslit. Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, was it the dirt doctor or was it the developer colluding with Richfield? Or was it like, where did the job come from, Courtney? Where did it start?
I have no clue.
But apparently I'm better at doing homework because I did look at the bird site and the phase one, yes, they're correct. That went somewhere else. We were in phase two of that program, if I'm remembering correctly. Obviously, I don't have the receipts with me today because, well, this is my receipt of showing you what happened. Maybe I can do like one of those like little documents or something, like a documentary, like a mini one. Okay. So they say, I'm not a licensed waste facility. I did all these bad things. I throw puppies in ponds. Okay.
Puppies and ponds.
That's what I say. They used to pass out these flyers when I ran for village trustee because I'm a glutton for punishment and decided, oh, my neighbors hate me. I should run for office. But I did. And their flyers that would go around basically made me sound like I throw puppies into lakes and rivers.
Oh my Lord.
I mean, might as well just put that on there. They're like, the dump trucks will run our children over, contaminate our children's drinking water. In the meantime, here's the Village of Richfield working. Okay, so here we go. In summary, technical problems are the devil. If you hear cult references, it's not my fault. I love to watch Cults to Consciousness. If you guys haven't started watching them, you should. It's so much fun to listen to because they have a T-shirt and it literally says, "I'm sorry for what I said when I was in the cult." It cracks me up every time. And so true. Here we go. Much easier for me to read. Okay. Where's the part about the dirt doctor? Ah, here we go. That also raises concerns about the partners the scenic pit is potentially working with to help with its operations. Individuals that the Village of Richfield has direct contact with inside the construction industry have informed us the scenic pit was at one time or may still be working with an individual named Mr. Well, I'm just going to say it, Mark Flessis, otherwise known as Dr. Dirt. It's Dirt Doctor, sir. When you're going to find informants and top secret undercover agents and nickname them with cool names, can you please stick to the real cool name like Dirt Doctor, not Dr. Dirt? Hello. Get it right. He's a headhunter of sorts for construction projects and aims to find areas where fill can be deposited. For each load, he receives a portion of the tipping fee. What? How dare he broker? How dare he? How dare he find people looking to get rid of dirt? How dare he find places for them to take it? Scandalous. Okay, we believe that is how the scenic pit is making connections with the city of Milwaukee Waterworks utility subcontractors and their area developers. Okay, newsflash, Jim Healy. I might be new to the industry, but I'm not dumb. I was an Army recruiter. I literally talked with people who agreed to join the military. Like, I know a few things about research and sales. right? My ex-husband has some of his biggest contracts with the city of Milwaukee Waterworks Utilities. I don't know where that came from. But my ex-husband is a utilities contractor. I know how to make connections. It's not rocket science. Building rapport and networking is something that I'm actually quite capable of doing, and I wish, sir, that perhaps you were a little better at it yourself. Ironically, Mr. Flessis had a case with the city of Milwaukee back in 2013, and somehow the city of Milwaukee prevailed on a nuisance charge through the Department of... Like, why is Jim Healy doing all of this investigating and research on this? This is creepy and weird, guys. Like, this guy's in a village administrator. He's like the guy you go in and ask if you can have a garage. This is why Jeff Gagno and I named him Justice of the Peace Jimmy. J.O.P. Jimmy. Hey, J.O.P. Jimmy, stay in your lane. Stop getting all out of control with that local power, that local government power you've been afforded. You're like a detective, man. I mean, I know that administratively you're the chief of police, and every time I say that, people look at me. You should see that, Courtney, they give me these weird crooked eyes, like,
What?
literally, I was on the fence about whether or not you're crazy, Dana, but now I know you're crazy. Because there's no way in hell that Jim Healy is the chief of police. But he is.
I don't get it.
Jim Healy has the title of chief of police administratively because we contract with the county. So we still have to have a chief of police because we're a village now.
Oh.
And the lucky guy, lucky for us, is Jim Healy. Terrifies me.
I am glad I don't live in the Village of Richfield.
You lived damn close for a really long time, though.
But I was still just across the street.
Lucky dog. In that reference, I can say lucky bitch, right? Because...
Yeah, I think it's appropriate-ish.
Okay. This is crazy. I think my pauses frustrate Courtney. I think my viewers are probably used to it. It's just outrageous. This is so angering. Okay, so Dana, how do you know that the dirt doctor was working with a developer? Because it went like this. The Village of Richfield sent out this memorandum. And I'm like, I tell this guy, I'm like, how in the world does the Village of Richfield know who you are? This just seems bizarre. I've been open for 3 months. You're just some random dirt dude. And like, this is bizarre. I said, well, remember that private, like the silent investor that didn't want to, wanted to remain anonymous? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, that was, this is going to be a hard name to mention because he's passed. So maybe I'll just, well, I won't say his name. I'm going to go ahead and just say his, who he is. He's the owner of the company that developed Windermere. That's exactly who it was. And let me tell you why that's important to know. I found out that this man who developed Windermere, back when the subdivision was being put in, had approached the previous property owners and wanted to purchase the pit because they wanted it to be open recreational space for the subdivision, just like Timberstone. It wouldn't be something for the entire community. It would have been something just for the people that lived in the subdivision in that HOA. Unfortunately, at that time, it wasn't for sale. And Lester, who has since passed away, he was elderly at the time, and he said, "No, I'm gonna leave it to my kids, and well, I don't know what they want to do with it is up to them." But the developer still was interested, so he kept coming up to Lester and he kept asking him. Lester finally says, $1 million. I think I would consider $1 million. And they laughed at him. He said, "No, we're not paying you $1 million." So they did the next best thing. The Holtzes didn't seem to mind that everybody was using the property as their private playground. Well, then now we don't got to buy anything. There's nothing to buy, right? It doesn't matter how many times they ask us not to trespass on our property because they know we're not going to call the police, because the previous owners were part of a religious group that they're pacifists. They don't believe in government. So they weren't the type of people to jump up and call the police. They believed in talking to their neighbors. Their values and their moral systems told them, you know what, if I have respect for my neighbor, I'll ask him not to trespass. My neighbor will too, return it with respect. So you guys just took advantage of them. Anyways. What was I talking about? Oh, the developer. Gotcha. You're good. We're almost done. That's about all I can take on this topic for the day. I got pretty riled up. We're already over an hour.
Yeah.
It's very angering. So this developer of Windermere was working with the dirt doctor. And the way you tie the developer back in is Jim Healy acknowledges him in the memorandum of the DNR. So I confront Mr. Dirt Doctor Zoot Suit wearing Mark Flessis, and I said, "Who's this developer?" And that's when he tells me who the guy is. I fired him immediately. I'm never talking to this dude again. Get off my property. 5 days later, that developer had a heart attack and passed away. And I kid you not, the dirt doctor actually emailed me and told me that it was my fault because of the stress I caused him from the scenic pit issue. Well, I've never even met him. First of all, gross. Like that, like, bye. Like, this guy's out of my life anyways, right? Like, he's already been cut off. Like, I found out what happened. Took me a while to process it. I'm still clearly processing it because so many moving parts had happened. And keep in mind, this is in the middle of some of the worst times of my life because I was going through a custody trial. I mean, how does one balance the psychological and emotional abuse? You've got these people running around gaslighting me. And I'll just start with one. I'm just going to say one more thing about that. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about the divorce in detail. I'm just going to tell you how Richfield has used my divorce to manipulate the system and do disgusting, disgusting things. This was at the time when I was told by a guardian ad litem and a social worker that if I drop the case against Richfield and sell my property, I could have access to my children. I'm not going to cry. Not going to do it. That happened. And that's for a whole nother episode. Do you think that's a good teaser for the next episode? That one might be too rough. We might have to schedule that for like January.
Let you grow a little more.
Yeah, let's grow a little more. Let's do some more growth because, yeah. Tonight I'm going to go live and do just a short little segment. I know Courtney didn't talk a whole lot today. It's new. We're getting used to this all, but I'm going to do a short little segment and I'm going to go into kind of a more playful sort of like satirical. Is that how you say it? Satirical.
Satirical, maybe? I don't know.
And kind of just play around with some of the ridiculousness and try to laugh at it because as my friend, well, she's my YouTube friend. I don't want to sound like we actually know each other. Well, I guess she talks to local boys sometimes. But Melanie Little says, because sometimes if you can't laugh, all you can do is cry. So,
And if you don't want to cry, you got to find reasons to laugh.
amen, sister. Thank you, Courtney, for joining us today. I hope this was clear to people. I might have been jumping all over. It's a really hard topic. This is hard stuff. And I just want the community to see it for yourself. So if you need to mute me and just scroll through the document yourself, I can maybe start up a link on a website and start posting some of the documentations you guys can read for yourself so you're not just relying on me. Because I'm here to expose the truth. I'm here to stand up to our local governments when they are showing too much power. And I'm not going to be silenced anymore. I'm not sure you silenced me before, but you definitely distracted me to a point of, you know, like Courtney said, I'm growing, I'm learning, and I'm stronger now.
So have the day you deserve.
Yes. And happiness is a choice, right?
It totally is.
Yep, I agree. With that being said, you guys have a wonderful afternoon. All of my local warriors. The other day I said Warriors. Our friend Mike thought that Warriors was way cooler than Warriors. Warriors! Wario. So with that being said, you guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I love each and every single one of you, whether you believe me or not. Thank you. Have a great day. Why is it not ending?